Hi, and welcome back. I'm so glad you're back here with us this week. Let me introduce you to one of our exciting guests. Okay, Dr. Erika Schwartz. She's the founder of Evolve Science, a world-renowned medical practice based in NYC, built on the recognition that bioidentical hormones are the foundation for better health. Once hormones are balanced, the practice focuses on optimization and longevity through disease prevention, patient advocacy, and coordination of care. Dr. Erika is a pioneer in the use of bioidentical hormones for preventing illness and recognizing their direct link to overall wellness and their interconnection with diet, sleep, and stress management. I need all those. Her focus on treating patients and the whole person began more than 30 years ago with her understanding that bioidentical hormone replacement is the safest, most effective path to increase health span and to achieve the highest quality of life. Dr. Erika, thank you so much for being here today.
Heather, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for having me here.
I will tell you, I'm so hyped selfishly, right? I'm 50 years old and all of my—
And you look 35, so don't even tell me.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank
And
you.
by the way, I think the chronologic age just sucks as an idea, so out the door.
However, it is helpful. One thing that I'm learning, and I didn't know this 5 years ago, and that's why I think it's important we're doing this episode. And I truly am doing this episode for any woman in their 30s and 40s, because I didn't know any of this stuff. I found out, I don't know how, I just didn't know about it. I found out when I was 49, when I started hearing all of my friends complaining about the same things: hair loss, weight gain, low energy, bad mood. And then one of my friends started saying hormone replacement, hormone therapy. And I'm like, what? I don't know what that even mean. And so it was just interesting that as a group of people my age, a lot of us didn't even know about what you literally spent so much of your life studying. And can you talk to us a little bit about how did that all come about? How did you learn about this early on?
Well, clearly not from medical school and clearly not from medical education. I learned it because, like everybody else, it had to happen to me. So while I was trained and I knew what I was doing, and I ran a major trauma center as my first job at 28, which was unusual for a woman. Think about it. This was in the late 70s, early 80s. Women did not do jobs like this. Anyway, so I ran a big trauma center, and then I went into private practice and I did internal medicine. And I just realized things weren't really, I was just kind of ping-ponging patients. And when I wasn't referring them to specialists, they would say to me, why aren't you referring this patient to specialists? And I'd be like, because I know how to take care of them. And why do I need a specialist if the patient's healthy? So anyway, what happened when I turned 46, and I'm 74 now, that's why I said to you, age doesn't matter, really. And I mean, chronologic age. Anyway, so I was 46 and I went into menopause, and I was treating women in menopause already with all kinds of garbage that we were trained to treat with, that were kind of working, kind of not working. Anyway, so I started feeling not so good. I started taking care of myself according to what I was trained, and it wasn't working. And then one of my patients came in and showed me this prescription and said, why don't you order this at the compounding pharmacy, which I didn't even know what it was because I am an MD. I'm an MD, so why would I know what a compounding pharmacy is, right? So she said, just write it for me in California. So I wrote it. I didn't, it was just basically estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, hormones that our body make. So I was like, oh, okay. The woman came back and she was very happy. And I said, what's going on? And she's like, oh, this is what I need. It's wonderful. So when I went into menopause and I was taking the conventional stuff and it wasn't working, I thought, let me go back to this pharmacy. So I wrote to the guy at the pharmacy and I ordered the stuff, and I said, can you send me some literature? Remember, this is the 1990s. So there's no internet, there's no Google, there's nothing. So except for the libraries, and the libraries that I was going to were the medical school libraries. So obviously they had this much information about anything to do with women's health. So
And for anyone that's not seeing the video right now, Dr. Erika just put a big egg up, 0. She's saying there was no information on hormones or hormone therapy.
Right. So I said to the guy, send me some stuff. So he sends me some literature, and it's pretty good, and it's in the real journals. And it was before we knew that it was all fake, the stuff that they published in the medical journals that were paid for by pharma, but we didn't think that. Anyway, so it made sense. And I said, well, why don't you send me whatever you had sent to this woman that I ordered for? And all this, so I spent like $450, which was a lot of money in 1996, 97. And I get this box with a zillion things. It has syringes with creams, it has powders, it has pills, it has all kinds of things. And I was like, oh, you kind of need a degree in biochemistry to figure out what to do. So I'm like so desperate to feel good, because it was like an alien had come into my head. I mean, I'm not moody. I'm usually pretty even temper. All of a sudden, I'm like a nightmare. I can't live inside my own body, right? So I get a notebook out and I start doing it, and I start following the directions. And within a week, shock of all shockers, I feel like myself. So I'm like, wow. So I called this guy and I say, listen, I have a lot of patients who I have on the conventional wisdom stuff. I would love to send them to you, but $490 a month is a lot of money. He's like, I don't need you or your patients. And he did me the biggest favor, because what he did by saying to me, get lost, is he opened the door for me to learn about it. So what I did is I found a compounding pharmacy in north of New York City where I was living. And I spent the following 3 years while seeing patients, going home at night and studying and working with this guy in a compounding pharmacy, and developed formulations and compounds that turned out to really work. The funny thing is that so then I wrote a book about it, and then it coincided with that study that destroyed the life of 7 million women by saying that hormones cause cancer. So yet again, like the universe steps in to take care of things, right? I get a call from a patient's husband who was running a medical marketing company, who had just sold it for some astronomical number. And he says, how's this going to affect your business? So I'm like, it's going to be great, because people need it. Women need this. And I know I read it, I did all the research. This is exactly what we need. It's not only is it going to not cause cancer, it's going to prevent heart disease. It's going to prevent Alzheimer's. It's going to keep your bones strong. It's going to keep, everything in place. Totally what you want. And he said, oh, okay, can I come in as a partner? So I'm like, sure. Like, do I know what he's talking about? So we opened the first compounding pharmacy that did the formulations that I did. And then I was teaching doctors all over New York and, the university hospitals. And that's how it started. And then I moved on to, I wasn't about making money. I was about helping women, really. And the practice was practically all women at the time. Now, ironically, it's 50-50. Men woke up to it. And it was also perimenopausal women. So, nobody talked about it. Now, I have 16-year-olds in the practice, because everybody gets it, brings their kids in, brings their whole, family in. Like you said, the women in their 30s and 40s, and they know what's out there and what can happen. So why don't we prevent it? Because it's all about preventing. We can stay healthy. We can stay looking good. We can stay feeling good. There's no reason not to. So this is the evolution of it. So this is where we are. So then I realized it wasn't just about hormone. Whoever is the person involved that would make the decision to conduct their life in such a way that would make it work. And it's like what you were saying on your TED Talk that I told you I was watching before, that you can't allow the outside world to take away your light. You have to hold on to it. And if it's taking it away from you, you better walk away from that. So that's what I'm doing in healthcare.
So one of the things that you brought up that I am curious to hear about, because the only friends that I have that aren't doing some type of hormone something at this point at our age are ones that are so scared of cancer. And you brought up that study. So can you tell us and educate us, for myself, for all the listeners, what validity is there? What studies were done? Like, what does it all mean? Why are people afraid of that?
Well, they're afraid of it because that study was a complete fraud. It was a study sponsored by Wyeth Pharmaceuticals, Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, and Upjohn. And it was supposedly, and again, for those who don't see it, quotation marks, right? It was supposedly going to show that Premarin, which was the hormone replacement therapy they were using in those days, was the fountain of youth, which is not a bad idea, right? The only problem is that they used women who were at least 10 years after menopause, who had pre-existing conditions like they were smokers, they had cancers, they had all kinds of issues. And so they were too old to look at. And they used the wrong kind of hormone replacement therapy because, and this is a hard concept, and I teach it to doctors, so I don't want to sound like an idiot by, saying something. They believed, and they still believe in the conventional medical world, that all estrogens behave the same. All progesterones behave the same. The truth is that no such thing happens, and it's common sense that if the formula of a substance isn't the same as the formula of the next substance, they're not going to behave the same. It's just common sense. You don't really need to be a biochemist. You don't need to know anything except common sense to say, what are you talking about? It took 20 years for that piece of information to get across the Atlantic Ocean, because in Europe they got it, and say, wait a minute, the study was bad, what they gave them didn't work, women need hormones. So I had written this book, and this is, again, the universe. I had written this book called The Hormone Solution, and it came out in April of 2002. And like you were talking about writing a book, I really didn't write a book because I thought I wanted to be famous or I wanted people to think that I know what I'm talking about. It was kind of, it came out and it came out of me, and it was about helping and saying that the core of that book is really women at all ages, men, if you're, pubertal, if you have a baby. I just wrote a chapter for a medical book about postpartum care and what's going on there, which is another disaster. Anyway, and at every age, we're affected by our hormone balance. So that's what that book was about. And it was also that putting the right hormones into the mix will help you stay healthy, will open the door for you to stop drinking when you're older, to be able to maintain your weight, to be able to sleep, to protect eventually from heart disease, brain, bones, etc. And the book came out in April of 2002, and the study came out in July of 2002. So all of a sudden it was number 2 on Amazon. Just go figure. And this is how I got to where I got. But I did a lot of work in the meantime because I'm taking care of patients, and I went from taking care of menopausal women to taking care of like transgenerationally and bringing the guys in too and saying, listen, we all need to make sure our hormones are in balance. We all have it in our hands to improve our lives. We don't need to look for the magic pill, which we're all sadly looking for. We don't need to try to, outsmart the next person. We can just stay there and do what's best for ourselves, and we'll be okay.
Your business gets to a certain size and the cracks start to emerge. Things you used to do in a day are taking a week. You have too many manual processes. You don't have one source of truth. If this is you, you should know these three numbers: 37,000, 25, 1. 37,000. That's the number of businesses which have upgraded to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, streamlining accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, and more, all for you. 25. NetSuite turns 25 this year. That's 25 years of helping businesses do more with less, close their books in days, not weeks, and drive down costs. 25 years. One, because your business is one of a kind. So you get a customized solution for all of your KPIs, key performance indicators, in one efficient system with one source of truth. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve your margins. There is so much power in having all the information that you need in one place. Imagine how much more efficient you can be, how much faster you can move, and to do it with so much confidence. It's unprecedented. And the unprecedented offer that NetSuite is providing you today is going to make this possible. Right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to give you consistently excellent performance, absolutely free, at netsuite.com/Monahan. That's netsuite.com/Monahan to get your KPI checklist now. netsuite.com/Monahan. So where does someone start? Because Dr. Erika, one of the things that I find confusing personally, right, because I don't know a thimble of what you know in regards to hormones.
Yeah, you do. You live there. You know more.
Well, I do know how important it is and it can change how you feel, but I still know for myself, I'm on hormones right now and I know I'm still not on the right concoction of it yet because I see some of my friends are thriving and I feel better, but I know I'm not there yet, right? So you can see that it's something that, my point is this: there are online solutions, and I'm not going to say the brand names, but like there's solutions that you can go to online and it's they have a system set up and you're immediately on hormone patches and hormone pills, whatever. Then there's these very expensive, because some of my friends go to these people, I don't, but they're these very, very expensive. Some of my friends are spending $10,000 a month doing testing, hormones, injections, whatever. They feel amazing. Then I see in between, there's labs and there's doctors. So what is the right thing for a regular person to do when they know, wow, I'm aware, I need to figure out what's going on with my hormones? Where do they start and where should they go? Like, what does that look like?
Good question. That's a great question. And unfortunately, there is no clear, like epidemiologic answer that says, okay, everybody should do this, because everybody's different. Everybody, like you said, they can go up there or you can go down here, wherever. This is the only thing I would say. Go to anywhere you find your friends recommend. I mean, you get on Instagram all day long, they get fed this stuff. Don't go for the supplements, because the supplements, most of them, unless they're tied into the hormonal supplementation, they're just a marketing scam. So don't bother with the supplements, I would say. Then I would say, try. And if you feel better, stay there. Like you said, you're not quite there. And you know it because you live in there. Listen to yourself. You know it. Don't let anybody else tell you what's going on. And then keep trying until you find the right person. Now, this has become a huge market. So there's a lot of money that people are spending in it. And there are a lot of quacks in it, the same way there are a lot of quacks in the conventional world. So it's up to you, like you said in your TED Talk and in your life, it's up to you to say, this far, no further. So I would say, give it 3 months. In 3 months, you'll know if it's the right person or not. And if the person listens to you, if the person gets to know you, if they want to know you, if they're not just prescribing because they have nothing else to do but prescribe to collect their money, then go the other way. You know that. You know what you want. If they're there to sell you, you're not interested, because it's your life. So you want somebody who's going to protect you and who's going to tell you whatever they know. Now, yesterday I had a patient in the practice who came in and was telling me that one of the doctors that I'm on faculty at the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, and another faculty member who's a quite well-renowned doctor, was saying something that was a little different, quite different, as a matter of fact, than what I say. And she said, obviously she came to me and she was like, well, what's the story? And I said, listen, the beauty of it is that you get different opinions. And that's beautiful. And we don't understand that in our culture. We're a little off on that one. That you want different opinions because they will help you try to figure out what's best for you. And you'll know that not everything works for everybody. So it's okay. I don't have a problem with that. But you can decide if it's right or wrong. You can decide, well, I feel better. I have patients who will come and say, I've been doing the same thing for 5 years and I'm not quite there and I'm not losing weight and my skin is horrible and my hair's falling out. And I'm like, why have you been doing it for 5 years? She's like, well, I don't know. The one thing I can tell you is don't go to anybody who mixes it all together. There are a lot of them that get like compounds that are estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, pregnenolone. It's all mumbo jumbo, basically, all put together. And then you take the cream and you just smush it on. The problem is that it makes no sense because you'll never know who did what to whom. So I will never put them all together. And my experience has been pretty significant for 30 years. And I still see patients 3 days a week. And I see like 20 patients kind of thing. So I see a lot. Anyway, what I've learned is that you keep them separate, because if you keep them separate, it might be more of a nuisance that you have to do it like twice a day or divide it up. But you and I, will figure out what's best for you much easier than if you put it all in one. So that would be one piece of advice.
So what does it look like when it is the right formula?
So what makes the right formula is, first of all, not putting them all together, doing them separately. There are different times in life where different things work better than other things. Like a patch will work better when you're younger than when you're older. A cream of progesterone will work better when you're younger rather than older. So oral estrogen should never be given because it's processed through the liver, and we have enough crap going through our liver. We don't want to add to that. Testosterone should never be given in pellets, because they put them under the skin and leave it there for 3 months. Your body, in its natural state, before you stop making it, releases hormone impulses. So you don't want to have hormones there all the time. You want hormones to come and go, come and go. And this is how you want to do it. So those are just like basic things that should tell you if you're getting the right thing or not. Having said that, I have seen people who have been, like I said, doing it for 5 years the wrong way, and it's working. The other thing is that at some point, it's not just about estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. It becomes about thyroid and adrenal. And that's really crucial because it took me about 5 years of doing it. And remember, since I'm old, that it started a long time ago, that nobody even thought about it at the time. I was like, I'm doing it right, but the people are not quite getting, it's not quite, like you said, not 100%. I feel great, you look great, you feel great, but you're not 100%. So that's when I realized that the blood tests that we do, because we're conventional doctors, and I insisted on the fact that this is where conventional medicine has to go or it's going to die, as simple as that. And that conventional medicine, and I'm a conventional doctor, so I don't want to be considered alternative. So I don't want to think of myself as an alternative doctor. So it's conventional medicine who needs to go there. So when you do bloods, you know what conventional bloods look like, right? But they don't really tell you anything before you're sick. They tell you when you're sick. So I had to kind of learn on my own how to figure out when ahead of time, how to get to prevention. Like you said, all these people who pay $10,000 a month to have 1,000 tests that they don't need. It's like, if you think of the genetic testing, which is like a big thing, we spend $2 billion to get the genetic code for humans like 20 years ago, and it's completely useless because we know that genetics mean absolutely nothing, that there may be 2 or 3 genetic diseases actually, which sadly exist, and that's it, and you can't do much about it. And that genetics are useless as far as knowing them, except for creating high anxiety in you because you're going to worry about it. And it's epigenetics, is what our environment is doing to our genes that is making them to either express themselves as negative things or express themselves as positive things. So doing that test sometimes, like, I'm not very big on testing, which makes a lot of people who make money off of the testing not very happy. So to me, what matters the most is you, how you feel, how you're feeling now, how you felt 6 months ago. And then what I do, which is because I'm the conventional doctor, is that when you feel perfectly and you come and you say, I got it, this is perfect, I feel the way I want to feel, that's when we do the bloods, because everybody's different. And that's when I will know that your bloods are the right bloods for you to keep you where we want to be. Like the people who say, like the woman I was talking about, who's faculty with me, who's saying that you should have the same estrogen levels that you had when you were in your 30s or 20s in order, I'm sure you've heard that one, right? In order to feel great. Well, in some people, yes, and some people, no. And to have a period, that's another conversation, right? You should have a period forever. Well, I had patients, and when I first started, women would not even admit that they didn't have periods anymore. They would be like, oh, I'm 59 and I've had a period my whole life. And I'd be like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me, because I can't believe that, but I believe anything my patients say. So, what's the truth? Well, the truth is they were lying because they were embarrassed, because the embarrassment factor was so high, and women's, like you say, lack of self-esteem and self-confidence trumps everything. Totally. So now, like, I would have my first editor of the hormone solution, the original hormone solution, was a 20-something-year-old lady who told me I couldn't write, and I guess she was wrong. But anyway, she sent me her mother, who was a lovely woman, took care of her, and it was early, so I don't blame them for not being sure of what I was talking about. And the woman wouldn't tell her gynecologist she was feeling great. And she'd go for her annual checkups, and he'd be like, oh my God, you're like 59 and your vagina is like a 35-year-old and you feel good. And I don't understand. It's wonderful. You're doing great. And she's not on hormones because it's post hormones are bad for you, right? And she never told the truth. She never told them that she was on hormones with me. So people were very scared. And even to this day, there's some who will quit the gynecologist and go to the people like me who take care of them and then never say what changed and what happened, which I think is not doing any service to the younger ones, like you said.
To other people. Yeah, for sure. No, I wish that they would do that more often to share the information so we could all know. Tell us a little bit, Dr. Erika, about, because I still don't understand this. What does estrogen fix? What does testosterone fix? What does progesterone fix? I still don't even really know what each one of these different things is doing. That's the sound of another sale on Shopify. And the moment another business stream becomes a reality, your reality. Shopify is a commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide, including mine. Whether you're selling your mastermind, your courses, whether you're selling your books, Shopify simplifies selling online and in person so you can focus on successfully growing your business and doing what you're great at, creating. Whether it's fashion, home and garden, health, beauty, Shopify covers it all. Shopify covers every sales channel, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform. It even lets you sell across social media marketplaces like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Packed with industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth, Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand without having to learn any new skills in design or code. And let me tell you, I have no idea about design or code. So thank you, Shopify, for making it so easy. And thanks to 24/7 help and an extensive business course library, Shopify is there to support your success every step of the way. What's incredible to me about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, no matter how big you currently are or how small you are, Shopify is there to empower you with the confidence and control to revolutionize your business, take your business to that next level, constantly adding on new products, services, and ideas. Now it's your turn to get serious about selling and try Shopify now. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial at shopify.com/Monahan, all lowercase, Monahan, all lowercase. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Monahan, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Monahan to take your business to the next level today. Join me, shopify.com/Monahan. You can thank me later.
I love it. First of all, I want you to go forward thinking they all work together, that one without the other means nothing. And that unfortunately, in the conventional medical thinking, everybody stays in their lane and they don't come out of their lane. And the moment they start coming out of their lane, they become better. They can serve you better. And healthcare should be about service to you. It should not be about anything else. It's the worst industry, and you have experience in sales, so you know that it's horrible that the most important sales industry, the most important service industry, has the worst service record of anybody. So starting with that, I just had to say that. Anyway, but the thing is that they all work together. Now, you want your orthopedic surgeon to stay in his lane or her lane, by all means. You want them to operate on your knee. You want them to fix it. You're not really interested in them doing anything else. But what you don't want them to do is to tell you to stop your hormones, to stop your supplements, because they don't know what they're talking about. So you have to learn that part of it. So that's where we talk about lanes. On the other hand, you can talk about the primary care or the people who do what I do, which is they do everything. They know everything as far as you give them the information, because you can't know everything about anything, because none of us will. But it's about getting the information about who you are and what your needs are. And unless you have that, you're not going to be able to help anybody, because you're going to have parts of it, and parts of it is not enough. So when you talk about, so to answer your question, because there is an answer to your question, estrogen is the hormone of growth. So when you're pregnant, it makes the fetus grow. When the first half of the cycle, it makes your uterus, the lining of the uterus grow. It's a very positive, it increases serotonin levels. It makes you feel good. It's a making you feel good hormone. It also makes you who we are, like as far as being like, I guess, some of us being more edgy than others, being, it's part of it's the hormone of being a woman. Estradiol, the hormone of youth, the estrogen of youth. Progesterone is its balancer. It balances the effects of estrogen. According to the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the only use for progestin is to make sure that it doesn't make the lining of the uterus get too thick and increase the risk of endometrial cancer. I don't think that's right. I think it's totally wrong. It does it helps with keeping the lining of the uterus thin, which is important. But it also works on your brain and makes you calm and makes you balanced, makes you also even more woman. Testosterone is the hormone that we identify as a male hormone, but it's not. Women make more testosterone than men per not quantity, but like ratio kind of. The amount of testosterone we make is more than men make, to tell you the truth. Not the amount, but like in the ratio of hormones. And testosterone is a great hormone. When you talk about aggressiveness, which is what testosterone is associated with, this very, very famous scientist by the name of Robert Sapolsky, who did all the research on testosterone, says how unless you have a genetic predisposition for testosterone to make you irritable and angry and, I guess, aggressive, you're not going to get aggressive. The same thing goes for women. If you take testosterone and you get aggressive, you took too much, or you just can't take it. And there are ways to give it to you. You can give it to you in shots, you can give it to you in creams. Again, you can't give it to you orally because it's not going to work right. And again, it's going to be through your liver and you don't want that. So testosterone helps with muscle mass, right? Which helps with bones, because none of the osteoporosis medications actually helps with your bones. The only thing that helps with your bones is building your muscle and maintaining your muscles as you get older. That's it. There's nothing. Calcium won't do it. Nothing else will do it. But you working out and building your muscle will do it. So testosterone will do that. It will also give you the libido, which we all want. Now, after 30 years of a relationship that's gone stale and you're done with it, it's going to be a little difficult even giving you testosterone to turn you on. But you could still get turned on. I mean, we talk to women, if you don't have a partner, you can masturbate. There are a lot of great ways in which you can maintain your sexuality. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's always been okay for men. It's okay for women, by the way. There's no question about it. So, and by the way, it wasn't just a male thing, sexuality. It's a male and female, because most of them kind of have sex with women. So don't get that.
Okay, so I have a question for you. This one is personal in nature. So I'm taking the hormones, I'm doing the hormones, I'm still not sleeping as good as I used to. I work out every day. Like I'm doing the things, like I'm going to bed at pretty much the same time, like I do the things that most people would do to try to ensure that you're sleeping right. But it's odd that I'm not, I know something's off.
Right. So your hormones are not well balanced. Check your thyroid, your adrenals, make sure your diet and your stress management. How do you go to sleep? Do you meditate? Do you breathe? What are the steps that you take every night, the routine that you have every night that brings you down to where you need to sleep?
So are you seeing stress as one of the main problems for people with sleep?
Of course, it is the main problem for everything. Stress is it. Stress is what's killing everybody. Yes. So, and it's not easy. It's so fixable. And because it's so fixable, we should focus on fixing it instead of focusing on trying to figure out solutions around it.
And what are the best ways that you see to manage stress for your patients?
Well, I've been working very hard with my patients, teaching them to meditate. And when I say meditate, half of them go like, oh no, I can't meditate. I won't meditate. It's not okay. So then I stopped saying the word meditation. What better way to do it, right? Change the word. And so I say, sit. Just sit alone, without a screen, without music, without any noise, without anything to give you stimulation from the outside. You just sit there, close your eyes and just sit. And pay attention to your breathing, so you make sure you breathe, because humans don't breathe. Nobody teaches us to breathe. So breathe, just sit there. Sit for a few minutes, sit for 1 minute. Then during the day, take a break and sit. In the evening, for sure, sit there. And it's so interesting that I was just talking to one of my patients who's going through IVF because she needs to go through IVF. And she's so scared and she's so negative because she's gone through so many negative things. She's in her 30s, and I mean, she has plenty of time. And I was sitting with her the other day, and I said to her, I said, you need to start meditating, because all she would say is, oh my God, it's going to fall apart. It's not going to work. Sure enough, they get 5 eggs. The 5 eggs die. It's a nightmare, right? And I'm like, you're doing it to yourself. And she's like, what do you mean you're doing it? I'm like, you are so scared that you're you're putting out all this negative energy towards it. So we have to switch it to positive. So I'm like, you have to start meditating. Shouldn't have said it, right? So she says to me, oh my God, my mother meditates. I hate it. And she has a whole issue there. So I said, okay, we're going to have to start sitting. So she sent me a text this morning. She just had her egg retrieval done, and they retrieved 6 eggs. And she wrote me the most positive, wonderful. I've been sending her, daily little positive things about how to start her day, the things to do. And she sounds like a completely different person. And I would love to see what happens next, because she's going to get pregnant. It'll work.
Wow, it's so interesting. I mean, that's definitely what I see with people that I work with. Obviously not to the level of like pregnancies, but I'm working with them on whether they're trying to get the next job or get, start their own business or whatever, but how much of it is mental, what you're envisioning, what you're saying to yourself, the people you're surrounding yourself, the things that you're listening to and watching, and recognizing how it makes you feel. And it's interesting to see and to hear you say with your medical practice, you're seeing the exact same thing with the results in regards to even having kids. It further validates that what you say, what you speak into existence, you're speaking into your life and your body. And that is so incredibly powerful.
It is so powerful. And you know what? Well, I was saying to you before, how come I'm saying it and I have an MD after my name, and I am like one of very few who are saying it? How crazy is that? How crazy when you have this huge tool at your fingertips that you're not using it. And then you say, oh, let me give you a pill. What are we thinking? Of course it is and when you say it's in your, about it, what you put out, your mind and your body are one. How could we think that they are separate? When I was saying about staying in the lane, how could you have a lane for psychiatry and the lane for internal medicine? How could you? How could you do such a disservice to us?
So true. And I'm so grateful that the way that you think, and I know everyone listening is going to want to get a hold of you. Dr. Erika, how can people find out more about you, more about the way they can work with you, get your books, get a hold of you? Where does everybody go?
At Dr. Erika Schwartz, everywhere on Instagram. And the practice is called Evolve Science. It's at ES Health. And you can find me. I'm pretty much all over. And the books are all on Amazon.
Well, I will link everybody. If you want to get a hold of Dr. Erika, Evolve Science, you want to see her books, they will be in the show notes below. Dr. Erika, thank you so much for being such a bright light and dialing your light up so others can see. We appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Heather. It was an honor to be with you. Thank you.
All right, guys, check out Dr. Erika. Until next week, keep creating your confidence. I will be.